I've played it, and after you see this trailer, I think you're going to want to as well. Welcome to Highguard.
Highguard just launched 97,000 players on Steam in day one. It's a free-to-play hero shooter from ex-Apex and Titanfall devs. Sounds promising, right? But the reviews? Mostly negative and dropping fast. Players are already leaving in droves. Someone tagged me the other day, "Rewatch your Culture Killed Concord video at 5:10. It predicted this." And honestly, sadly, it really did. In that breakdown, I talked about how aspirational characters are make or break in these games. I'm Laura, and I've shipped a lot of different game titles, like Gears at Xbox, and we almost made that exact mistake ourselves on a game I made, but we didn't get caught by the bubble. Let's break down why Highguard is feeling like another cautionary tale. Launch looked promising. There was a big peak from the Game Awards hype. There was crossplay on PC and PlayStation and Xbox. You had solid team pedigree. Early buzz was there. People were genuinely curious about the raid loot PvP twist. Every developer would love that kind of day one spike. But just a few days later, live players have dropped over 85 to 90% from the 97,249 peak. Now they're sitting around 10 or 11K concurrent on Steam, and the reviews remain mostly negative. Complaints range from bland generic characters with no personality or hook, to slow 3v3 pacing on huge maps, and there are a lot of performance bugs that are killing the flow. Look, free-to-play PvP is a crowded space. You have to keep players engaged because retention is revenue. Miss it? Game over. Characters. Creating inspirational characters that people want to play, this is really critical to the game. I know, because we had this exact problem on Gotham City Imposters.
Let's get that blindfold off you. Welcome to Bats HQ.
That was a clip from my Culture Killed Concord video. The Gotham team was extremely talented and had great pedigree too. This isn't easy to get right, but it's imperative with this kind of game. Players want aspirational characters, heroes you crave to be, with style and vibe that hooks instantly. Concord missed it, and Highguard's TGA trailer echoed it. So how did this happen? Well, first you had massive hype from the Game Awards announcement. Jeff loved this game. He played it early and hyped it hard. But the grand finale spot amplified expectations. To give you some idea, he was so excited that he gave them the slot for free. Unfortunately, it appears that Jeff's opinion and gamers aren't aligned with regards to this game, and his help might have actually hurt them. This is a highly competitive game space. You need killer characters, great marketing hooks on day one, but having a hype machine, it can inflate those peaks and expose the flaws even faster. This game set itself up to feel like another Concord. Wildlight was trying to pull off an Apex Legends-style shadow drop where you have no big pre-launch beta or testing for the public. You just drop it and let it speak for itself. And the strategy worked magic for Apex back in 2019 because Respawn had around 300 people grinding out internal tests, and it was backed by EA's massive 9,500 employee machine. They had hundreds of dedicated QA testers who hammered out bugs and polished those aspirational legends before launch. More eyes means more input, and that means issues like forgettable characters or performance hiccups get flagged and fixed. Highguard, just 100 devs at a self-publishing indie. No EA scale safety net, no public beta, only a tiny press influencer hands-on days before drop. Shadow dropping without that testing depth was already super risky in today's market, even without the Game Awards hype on top. And look, the market has changed since Apex launched. Back in 2019, Battle Royale was still relatively fresh. Players had fewer high-quality, free options competing for their time. Today, gamers are drowning in choices. Apex is still strong, Valorant, Marvel Rivals, Overwatch 2, Arc Raiders with its constant updates. Everyone's got a go-to game they're already invested in. They also have less patience to try something new. They'll download, play 20 to 30 minutes, and if the characters don't grab them, if the pacing feels off, if there's any bug or friction, they're back to their main game in seconds. They evaluate extremely quickly now, and I think it's safe to say they're way more sensitive to overhype. One whiff of TGA finale bait or mismatched expectations, and the trust evaporates fast. Highguard sadly got the worst of both worlds. They had the shadow drop risk without the army helping them polish, plus Jeff's spotlight that made every flaw scream louder. The biggest takeaway here is simple but powerful. You need to create a healthy feedback loop for your game, and you need it from everywhere. You need it internally from your team, externally from playtests or early access, and most importantly, from the actual players which will buy your game. Teams and even media can get into their own bubble. They get focused on the vision or the cool ideas, the internal wins. But players aren't in that bubble. They're the ones who decide if it resonates. They'll tell you straight up what works and what doesn't, often in the first few minutes. If something doesn't click, whether it's the characters or the pacing or anything else, you have to believe them. You have to be willing to adapt. And that's hard, especially when you've poured years into it.
Making a great game that we love to play internally, believing in that, and then releasing it and being malleable to have that open conversation with the audience and being able to adjust.
With Concord, toxic culture made real feedback nearly impossible. For Highguard, we don't know the full story yet, but clearly there were red flags in the trailer and early gameplay that weren't addressed enough before ship. The good news? As a self-funded indie with private investment, they may have more runway and flexibility. They may have the time to listen, iterate, and pivot based on what players are actually saying. I'm rooting for them. I like talented teams, and they can absolutely come back stronger with updates, new content, or even a fresh direction if they stay open to the feedback loop. The lesson is universal. Listen early and often to the people who actually play. That's how you break out of the bubble and build something that lasts. Highguard is a live example of how fast things can shift in this space, but also a reminder that the story isn't over yet. That's my take. What do you think?
And I think ultimately the feedback, the noise, the volume is really a showing that there's an interest and that somewhere inside them people do care and they're hopefully begging for more. And that's what the launch of the game is. It's the more. It's your chance to hands on sticks and play and form your opinion.